to the Tool Station Northern Counties East League podcast. I'm Richard Watts. I'm joined by League General Manager Matt Jones, who's going to give us an update from the league.
So, a quick look back at the games that took place over the weekend. Unfortunately, due to the weather, nearly half the games were postponed. Again, it seems to be a never-ending story that every day before the match day, it slings it down with rain. I'm just looking out the window now. We're recording this on Monday morning. It's beautiful sunshine. Then we've got a load of games scheduled tomorrow, and it's forecast torrential rain again. So we seem to be very unlucky with the weather, but we will get there. Promise by the end of the season we'll be done and dusted and everything played. We'll start by saying congratulations to Emley AFC. They've won the Premier Division Championship, and we went up there on Saturday, presented them with the trophy and medals after their 2-2 draw with Golka. Really joyous occasion, as you can imagine, that they've had a great season, worthy champions, fantastic crowd of 610, and we had a good time up there presenting them with their medals. One to keep an eye on is Penistone Church. They've got 3 games left, while some of the teams have finished, some have only got 1. Penistone have got 3 games to play. They're creeping up on the rails, and if they win all 3 of their games, they can sneak into the playoffs and push out Albion Sports. So their 4-0 win over Gould kept them in contention, and so it's one to watch out for because the final playoff spot is between them and Albion, and it's going to go right down to the wire with that one. In Division 1, the 2 of the 5 contenders, Shirebrook and Parkgate, had their games postponed, but the other 3 contenders for the playoff places took advantage, all 3 winning again. These top 5 have been so consistent in the last few weeks. We start with Beverley, who beat Nostell 3-1. Retford United had a good 2-1 away win at Staveley, which is never an easy place to go. And Wakefield kept up their momentum with a 4-1 win over Louth. So it's looking likely that one of those 5, Shirebrook, Parkgate, Wakefield, Staveley or Beverley, will win the league. And I'm not going to say which one because they're all 5 really, really good sides, with the other 4 taking part in the playoffs. The only spanner in the works for them is that Wombwell are still slightly in contention. They're still not completely out of it, so they're one to watch as well.
If you have a question for Matt Jones, please email NCEL Podcast at gmail.com, and we'll try and include that question in a future edition. Volunteers are essential to all clubs at this level, and on the podcast we hope to feature a number of volunteers in future episodes. If you're a volunteer who would like to come onto the podcast and talk about what you do in your club, then email ncelpodcast at gmail.com. I'm now joined by Andrew Painten, who's the chairman of the league champions Emley AFC. Just to get things moving, first of all, I mean, congratulations on the league title. I don't think I've spoken to anybody who hasn't thought that you've been the best team by some distance, and it's a worthy winners. What have your thoughts been on the season?
We set out with a plan 5 years ago, really, to kind of achieve Northern Premier League football by this point, and to have done it in that time frame, despite a year in the Northwest Counties at Step 6, and despite COVID and all the challenges that came with it, and despite everything that life and football throws at you, to achieve it in that time is not much short of a miracle, really. So incredibly proud personally, incredibly proud of the players, the management, my fellow board members and volunteers and supporters who have all, absolutely to a man, to a person, put their all into it from their own perspective. So it's a huge collective effort, and means so much. And I think it means so much more now because we did get promoted during COVID, because we're doing well at Step 6 over a couple of seasons, but we were kind of promoted by a spreadsheet. And we got a phone call to say we were promoted, rather than having that moment of togetherness on the pitch, which was incredibly powerful, and we'll remember it for the rest of our lives, even if we achieve nothing else in football and secure no more silverware. We'll always have that moment. So it was really, really special.
I mean, not only your league performances, but you've also had a couple of really good cup runs as well, and desperately unlucky probably to draw the best team left in the competition in the FA Vars.
Yeah, I think that's been a bit of it's been a distraction, but a welcome distraction, both cup runs. And I think actually they've served a really great purpose in bringing the team together, the club together, and being really important in teaching us, the necessity of just getting over the line and winning games. And we had some real tests early in the season against higher opposition in the FA Cup, and then some strong teams that we faced in the FA Vars, and it just it just sort of cemented our kind of mentality as this is the season we're going to do this in the league. In the end, we were sort of really disappointed with the way we exited the FA Vars. Getting so close to kind of a semi-final and a potential trip to Wembley, and we were all disappointed on that day, in terms of the result and to a degree the performance. It was a really difficult day on a terrible pitch. Barton would be proud of that pitch, even at their worst, to be honest. And yet we still played a game. But it was the same for both sides, and they coped, admirably with the conditions. But the scoreline was a bit of a smack in the face, really, and we did have a bit of a blip after that, but we managed to regroup, get back together, and get ourselves over the line, and clinch the title.
And what's been sort of like, I'm thinking in terms of players, you've got the likes of sort of like James Walshaw up front. Has that been key in taking players like that? Has that been key from sort of taking you from being a good side that you were last season into a very good side this season?
Yeah, I think we've sort of, I know we've won it by winning games, but I think our recruitment last summer was superb. We managed to retain the majority of the squad that had done so well the season before, and just narrowly missed out on the playoffs, sorry. And really recruited a really strong, experienced spine to strengthen the squad. Really, the back end of last season, when we were there or thereabouts, as soon as Joe Jagger had his injury, and that did feel like a sort of not just season-end injury for him, but a season-ending moment for us. With hindsight, maybe we'd have pushed on and got a little bit closer to pushing Winterton a little bit closer, for that playoff spot. But we weren't really 100% ready off the field for promotion last season. If I'm being honest, it would have been a bit early in our 5-year plan that I mentioned earlier. So it's all turned out all right in the end. And yeah, it's that recruitment. Jack Cowgill, bringing Walshaw back, Ruben Jerome, obviously currently top scorer in the division, and a few others, but also the retention of that core squad that had gelled and done so well last season. And then, like I said, the strength in depth meant Richard Tracy, our manager, when he did need to change things or people weren't available, he could look at his squad. There's 20 players that would get in almost any Premier Division side in the league, if they were elsewhere, for him to call upon.
Yeah, just sort of looking further back, we go back to the 90s when Emley were a very good non-league side. How's it sort of evolved? And then they went to Wakefield, didn't they, and disappeared. How is sort of being built back up? What's the story from there?
There was basically a split in the club, and the existing first team went off to Wakefield, because they were told that they couldn't have a three-sided ground. And actually, that was the case for a couple of years, and the rule changed back, so you could at that highest highest level of non-league. But the second team always carried on at Emley, and the current team, the current club, are kind of the continuation of that reserve side. So you can trace the line of football in Emley all the way back to like 1903 in the welfare ground since the 1950s. But there was that a difficult moment, and if the first team that went to Wakefield had achieved what they set out to achieve and getting in what was the conference, maybe things would have been a bit different, but they didn't. And here we are now. But what we've done is managed to recapture that kind of spirit and togetherness that was in the 1990s and 80s. That kind of that spirit and togetherness is back there. We're a real close-knit club, volunteers, supporters, management team, players, everyone around the club is working, in the same direction, and that's what's got us over the line this season and in the last few years.
So you've achieved your plans in the last 5 years. What are your plans for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I've been saying we need a new 5-year plan, and I've got it in front of me on the computer. I'm not going to reveal it all now, but
No.
we want to get as high as we can, but remain a sustainable football club. We've improved. Myself and Marcus, the vice chairman, we set about both improving the club off the field and at the same time improving the club on the field. And some clubs, not that I'm criticizing anyone, but some clubs, they could throw money at the team, but they haven't got the infrastructure, they haven't got the people, the bodies, the volunteers, the kind of ground grading that they're required to get higher and stay higher. And some could have the best ground in the world, but haven't invested in the team. And we've managed to keep, and tried to keep both running alongside each other and just nudging up one and then nudge up the other. So it's a real balance, of those two things. And I think that will hopefully stand us in good stead for step 4 football. In 5 years' time, I hope I'm speaking to you or someone else, and we're talking about step 3 football. I think step 2 is probably a step too far, maybe, but certainly in without significant building and significant investment, it would probably change the nature of the football club. But that's obviously a long time down the road.
Have you got scope to increase the fan base?
Emley is a small village. There's only 1,500 people live in the village of Emley. I mean, that's tiny, really. So to be where we are really punching above our weight. So when you get crowds of like 800 and something we got in one of the Vars games, that's the equivalent of half the village turning out, half your locale. Now, I know they haven't all come from the village, but we have managed to entice a lot more people back from the village of Emley that maybe didn't know about us or got disillusioned when the first team took themselves off to Wakefield. That's been a big goal for us. But part of that is that we've made sure the facilities, the match days, the welcome you get, are absolutely spot on. So that even if results weren't going our way, it's a great experience and a great place to be. So yeah, we're really proud of how we've increased the attendances, and obviously the knock-on effects with that in terms of the finances is a huge plus.
Yeah, you mentioned sort of like how you've improved the ground. It's been, I mean, you must be about to the best ground in the league, I think, this season.
Well, that's really kind of to say. I'm not someone who compares ourselves against other clubs, but I haven't been anywhere this season and gone, oh, I wish we had this, I wish we had that. The only thing I always wish we had was a bigger bar, because it's always chocker in there, and we know we could do so much for our village location if we had the facilities. No, that's really kind of you to say. We've worked really hard. A team have worked really hard to make sure that the pitch is the best it can be, and we do invest in the pitch to make sure we get games on. A place, last summer everywhere smelt of new paint again, which is just fantastic. Always improving that match day experience in terms of signage and lighting and all the rest of it. And we've always got plans to try and make things even better. In the last few months, we've finally managed to get our new scoreboard installed, which is a nice little extra bonus. We've got new pitch perimeter fencing we've installed this season, total upgrade of the seating in the stand, and hopefully over the summer the floodlights will be that project will be finally realised with a kind of upgrade to LED floodlights to, in the long run, save us a bit of money as well.
That's brilliant. I wish you all the best at the next level.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll hold your own. Which shame from our point of view, because like I say, it's a nice place to come. But
Yeah, no,
well done
we
and good luck for
obviously,
next year.
we're really proud to have got promoted and be back in the Northern Premier League. So that's Northern Premier League football at Emley for the first time since May 2000. So it's going to be a big moment when we kick the first ball at that first game at Emley in August. But we will miss all our friends and rivals in the northern counties. We've been there for what is it, 10, 15 years, whatever. And it's been a big part of all our lives. And we've made some great friends, had some great memories. And hopefully, in the main, we leave with everyone's good wishes and wishing us, like you've done, the best of luck for next season. And yeah, fingers crossed. We won't see you again for a little while in the Northern Counties, but we'll see some of you again up in the Northern Premier League.
Next up, NCEL Talk. I'll hand straight over to host Aaron Walton.
Good evening, gentlemen. Are we all well?
Yes, thank you, Aaron. Joe?
Yeah, well, good. How are you all tonight?
Yeah, good. Thank
Right,
you.
thank
I'm missing my football, I must admit, because in the words of Sister Rosetta Tharpe, didn't it rain? And it certainly did. It certainly did. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go through the Prem first, and then we'll look at Div 1. So Saturday, champions Emley presented with the trophy by the top brass at the NCEL, didn't they? So, and 630 brave souls came out to watch a local derby, 2-2 with Golka. So, all right, that'll be a good game.
Very good game. I mean, Golka, it was a good result for Golka to go to Emley and get 2-2. It's a good result.
It is, very much so. Yeah, I mean, Emley are certainly not. They've still got the cup to go for as well, haven't they? I know they've got Bottisford to play on Saturday, I think. So they're still in it, aren't they? So that was good for Golka. They've been playing well all season, and results don't lie. You're at the top for a reason. So well done to Golka. Albion Sports did their playoff hopes of power of good, beating Pickering 2-1. I think Pickering's form is as bad as Barton's form at the moment. So that was again, it's a difficult place to go, Pickering, as you know, Bob, and as I know as well. It's a tough place to go.
Well, we actually won at Pickering this season.
I know you're just rubbing that into an open wound there, Bob.
You got that there, didn't you? You got the gist of that, didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
I do apologise.
Don't worry, mate. I'm used to it. So as I say, Taddy and Rosso drew 0-0. Gould.
Yes.
How did you do?
Unfortunately, we lost. The elements had a lot to play with. It was really blustery, windy, but no doubt about it, Penistone were the better team on the side, especially the first half. Yeah. I mean, they played with the wind first half, and as you know, Nathan Keithley is always the goal scorer for Danger Man, isn't he? And he scored after 3 minutes, and then he got a second after 32. Then Lennon O'Grady 34 and Anthony Brown 36, 4-0. We were better in the second half, but maybe I think some of the players, because we were safe, maybe I might be doing them a disservice, but maybe the intensity wasn't there from our players, because we knew we were safe after that result.
I mean, it's at the back of your mind all the time. I mean, you don't go out to sort of half perform or anything like that. And any fan who says, "Oh, players aren't trying," etc., etc., they've obviously not played sport at a decent level, because you don't go out to be second best. No. But unfortunately, psychology, you maybe think, "Oh, I'll maybe just not go in for that 50-50 as hard as I'm going would have gone into it," and things like that. So. But Penistone's a really tough place to go, isn't it, Bob? And if you say and if you say it was windy, I mean, it does seem to blow off them hills straight across, doesn't it?
It was the wind. Once you had the wind, It must have been 30, 40 mile gusts on Saturday. Easily.
Yeah.
And,
So he was 3-0 down at half
4-0
time. 4-0.
4-0 then. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you wouldn't have enjoyed your sandwiches at half time then, would you?
Well, I still enjoy them.
They really do a good spread, don't they, at Penistone? Really look after you, don't they?
And I love the cakes as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think Penistone are one of my. Well, I like every club I go to. I must admit, I've got no sort of clubs I go to where I really don't dislike. I like all the clubs, but there's one or two who just go that extra mile, and Penistone are one of them. So well done, Penistone.
But I'll just say if we go in the second half with the wind, we did work the Penistone keeper, and he made some good saves. So we could have maybe a couple of goals, but he made some great saves there.
He's a good keeper, isn't he, at Penistone? Yeah, when we played him, he kept the score. Well, it was 3-3. We drew 3-3, but that was a typical game of two halves. But he played well in the first half. Have you been to Penistone, Joe?
No, it's been on my list for ages and ages and ages. I think it's probably going to be next season now before I do it. But
yeah.
I've always heard some nice stuff about Penistone, so yeah, I've got to put in my to-do list for next season.
Definitely. It's a good ground. It's the good people there. You'll have a laugh with the crowd because they're quite comical, and it's really good. They've got a nice little club shop there as well. I know my lad, he tends to collect shirts. He got a Penistone shirt. I think it was reasonably priced as well. So they've got everything there. So if we go on and let's have a look at the other results. Silsden, they beat Answorth on the plastic pitch 4-1. So that was good. Silsden have had a bit of a up and down season, but Silsden tend to, and I hope they don't mind me saying this, they tend to drop off a cliff a bit towards the end of the season. But they've not really done that this season. I think they've been steady all the way through the season, haven't they? So, have you seen Silsden this season, guys?
Yeah. We played Silsden. I think we didn't we lose. We lost at Silsden. Yeah, we lost at Silsden. So yeah, they're good. They're a bit up and down sometimes. You say though, you know. But they're a good team. We lost at Silsden at 5-0. I'm just looking at my programme. That's why I've tried to block it out. That's why I've tried to block it out.
Well, Bob, it's like a mirror image, mate, because Barton Town lost 5-0 as well.
but on the positive side, we did beat Silsden 3-0 at home. So we lost 5-3 on aggregate. So that was
No, that's not too bad then, is it? It's not too bad. No. Have you been to Silsden's ground on your travels, Joe?
No, again, another one that I need to do. I think a lot of them, like Penistone and Silsden, I think I'm going to have to do them in the summertime because I think I don't want to be wrapping up at minus 20 degrees.
No, it's a hell of a trek as well. So I know Silsden is. I know we usually play them on a night time, and it's gone midnight by the time we get back. But it's again, Silsden definitely always doing little upgrades to the ground, and it's looking better every time we go. So it's worth a visit. It's a nice ground at Silsden, but it's a long journey. So Frickley started to pick up a little bit right near the end with a managerial change. They put 4 past Bottisford.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think Bottisford will be concentrating on the cup game they've got on Saturday, I hope. So if we go into Division 1 then, Stein's not with us. He's obviously watching Wakefield play. I think it's Pontefract in the County Cup, isn't it, tonight? So good luck to Wakey. But they put Louth to the sword, didn't they? 4-1. So again, Wakefield keeping the pressure on there.
A good gate there. You see the gate there? Good gate. 433.
Well, so they're boosting the crowds up because I remember Si saying when they started they were lucky to get 20 or 30, but now they're really. But everybody goes to watch a winning team, don't they? That's the thing.
That's the story, yeah.
Yeah, so they won 4-1. Beverley Town beat I've been told how to say it properly. Nostell, not Nostell. Nostell.
Another good crowd there, 346. That's a good crowd. Some good crowds in Division 1.
They're very good crowds. Is that one on your list to see, Beverley Town?
I've seen Beverley this season. I saw them play Horbury early in the season.
At
And
Horbury.
no, it was at Beverley.
Oh, is that Beverley? What do you
It
think of
was.
the setup?
It was all right. I think for the level, I think it's all right. I think there's
Yeah,
a long way to go with it. But again,
absolutely.
they've been a team that's really surprised me this season. Given I think they're a bit like Horbury, really. They didn't really know too much about them. Didn't really see much of them. But fair play to when you've got a player like Scott Phillips who has done it at this level. Did it with Brig a couple of seasons ago. He's a quality player, and to be fair, given at the top of the league, I think it's the job that they've done this season, I think, is absolutely superb. So I think the title race is going to go down to the wire. I think.
Definitely. I mean, they've got a manager who's done it before with Dave Ricardo. He's got the experience there. Most of the players, I mean, I like to call them Barton Town old boys because they've all played for Barton. I think 9 or 10 of them have, and they're all good players. They've all had experience a little bit higher as well, and some even higher than that. The likes of Nathan Hottie has played a few higher, and one or two of the other guys. So Beverley Town they won Nostril 3-1. Retford United, one of your clubs, Joe. And a good away win at Staveley.
Big results. To say they came from a goal down to win 2-1. And again, Greg Smith, another quality player that they've signed. And I think more or less they've sewn up playoffs now. Given that, we'll get onto it, the games that they've got coming up is massive. Given that the game they've got at the weekend, which, like I say, we'll get onto it. But Staveley, we know is a tough place to go to. They've always been a good side, Staveley. The ground is absolutely fantastic. What they've done
one of the best.
Oh yeah, 100%. But like I say, it's a big result that they got there, and like I say, Ryan, will be very, very pleased because some of those results, like you say, against Staveley, your team's sort of in the mid-table. You can easily drop points against them, and like I say, they're going for top 3, top 4. That these are the sort of games they need to be winning. So yeah, let's say big result for Retford.
Yeah, definitely. And if we look at Horbury, another one of your
just going back the crowd at Staveley, 412, another good crowd. Division
1. Terry Dans will be rubbing his hands getting that many in, but then they deserve to get a good crowd because they put a lot of hard work in at Staveley. It's a superb setup, as me and Joe have intimated, and a really nice ground. So if we go on to Horbury, they put 6 past Hollerton, didn't they? So they're still doing well. And as Si always says, if they didn't have such a bit of a dodgy start, they would be really up there. And Retford FC dented Brigtown's excellent form by winning 1-0. So that's a real good result because Brig had been on, I think, about 11-match unbeaten run. Last time they'd lost was, I think, against Beverley Town 1-0. So Retford to do that. I mean, have you seen Retford a few times this season, Joe? I think you have, haven't you?
Yeah, again, they're the closest club, the closest ground to my house. I can effectively walk it from my house. It's that close. But again, big result against Brig, and Brig, as we know, they're a very good side and they're a tough team to crack. But yeah, Retford have always, I think, the last couple of seasons they've been a bit up and down and finding that consistency. But I think, like I say, they've got a few games to go. Like they could have a good end to the season, see where it goes. But a big result on Saturday for them.
Definitely. So we've virtually covered the Saturday games. Obviously, the weather put pay to a few games. Obviously, Barton Town was off again, but quite a few other clubs were off because it's just, as I say, it's just rained and rained and rained. But if we go on to this week, midweek games. Now, I went to Beverley Town versus Parkgate. Super, I've got to say, an absolute belter and advert for Step 6 football. What a game. It was absolutely, it had everything. It had, and I will, before I go on, I just want to say a massive thank you and a pat on the back to the volunteers and the ground staff for getting the game on. So that was really, really good from them. Good crowd there, but it had everything. It had shots, it had misses, it had 50-50 tackles, it had hitting the post, it had Joe McFadden must have scored the most flukiest goal I've ever seen. It was a cross. And it was a cross that took a gust of wind and just went round the keeper and into the far corner. And coming back, he was smiling and one wag in the crowd said, "Oh, was that a cross?" And he was honest, and he said it was. So the Beverley went 2-0 up half time, playing some good football. Really closed Parkgate down and didn't have a great deal of chances. I know Ross Duggan had a chance at the far post, but he fluffed it. But Ross didn't really get much of a sniff all the game. So it was, I'll tell you who marked him most of the game, and I think he got man of the match. It was Matty Plummer.
Yeah, it's a good player.
Yeah, very good player. Played for Barton for a long while. Like a Rolls Royce he is, you know what I mean? He never seems to rush, but he always gets the ball. Real good player is Matty Plummer. Second half, Parkgate come out and they scored, free header. And then, I've got to say, down to Tom Nicholson, the keeper. Two lovely saves. A sort of one-on-one and from a corner, another free header. And he gets down to it. So, and it was really sort of, Parkgate were putting the pressure on at the end, and Beverley just sort of came home and won it 2-1. But what a great advert for Step 6 football! Really good game. So I got my money's worth. So we who else did we see? Louth and Horbury drew 0-0. So Horbury did well to go all that way to Louth to draw 0-0. So who else did we see? The Premiership. So Emley capped their campaign at Pickering, and it was a fine way to finish off the season, wasn't it, gents? Champagne football.
And they scored 5 away again. They scored 5 at us, goal, and 5 at Barton, and 5 at Pickering. They are free scoring, aren't they? Really are.
You did have to mention the Barton results, Bob.
Sorry. Well, I didn't have to mention that. I didn't have to mention our result, but I thought
I know you. I don't know, but never mind. But yeah, they've played some champagne football this season, haven't they, guys? And
they deserve to win, to be champions, no doubt.
Oh, definitely. And I'll tell you something as well. Tadcaster, they kept the good form up, didn't they? Beating what I always think is a tricky Hallam team, 4-0.
Good result.
Yeah, really good. Really good.
I'd like to say as well that the big news as well, Denton committing for another season, which I think is a fantastic thing for Hallam as well. So it's good to have the consistency going for them for another season.
Definitely. I think it's a no-brainer there because he's such a good manager. I mean, when he was at Barton, I couldn't fault the guy. Absolutely brilliant. Really good. Always got time for you. Nice guy. His backroom staff are brilliant as well. So, that's absolute no-brainer for me for Hallam because he's just such a good manager, isn't he? And as I say, a really nice guy. So that's the news there. So tonight, Parkgate play again, playing Selby. It's tough for Parkgate, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, they've got a lot of games. They've still, they've got how many games? They've got actually another 8 games to play, I think.
Yeah, it's like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It's just ridiculous the fact that the games are mounting up for Parkgate. I get the fact that a lot of teams are in that position where they're having to cram all the games in towards the end of the season, and a lot of the time, and I go back to when they played Wakefield last month, and I remember someone said on Twitter that they were going to win the league. I think the one thing that I felt that, because don't get me wrong, we've seen it, Parkgate a very well drilled side. I always felt that this run of games, I think it's just going to kill the team. Just having to play 2 or 3 games a week, I think they're going to find out very, very soon that it's not going to be easy for them trying to win the league. But I think realistically, I think if they're finishing the playoffs, I think it's been a great season for them regardless. But yeah, the amount of games that they've got, it's a bit of a joke, really.
It is, isn't it? It's a bit too much, I think. Possibly run out of legs. I mean, the same at Barton. I mean, we've got nothing riding on it now, but it could have been in a big relegation battle, really, with Barton. So, but we've still got a game that could define Penistone.
Just go back to Penistone. Last night, was it last night? They were 2-0 down to Sills, wasn't they? And they came back to win it. Came back to win it 3-2. 2 goals. Wow. It lasts 5 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah,
to win it because they need to win it. They need to win these games just to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. So they've been at it. They've had a good season. So again, we're looking at on Saturday. We're looking at we've got some NCEL Cup games, haven't we? Third round, Silsden versus Knaresborough. Well, that could be anybody's, couldn't it? And then Emley in the quarterfinals. Emley obviously going for the double. They're playing Bottisford. Now, can Bottisford put a performance in to beat the champs? I mean, can Mike Thompson, will he do his best to G up his young side? We don't know. We'll give Bottisford a vote of confidence there, and hopefully they'll put a good performance in against Emley. In the league, Eccleshill play the tricky Golker. Barton Town, Eccleshill play Frickley. Sorry, I can't read my own writing, Bob.
And have you seen on the website that actually the game's been switched round? It's going to be actually at Frickley, not Eccleshill.
Yeah. I mean, our Barton Town's game was cancelled yesterday, postponed yesterday. I thought it would be at Eccleshill, not at Barton, before all the keyboard warriors get on there. Barton did not postpone it; it was Eccleshill. So yeah, they've obviously switched it to Frickley. I think maybe just to get I don't know. Barton Town play Golker. I mean, it's been quite bad weather at Huddersfield, hasn't it? So hopefully that game ahead.
Yeah.
And Rossington, one of your teams, Joe, they play Pickering. So
yeah.
Are Rossington in the playoffs? Definitely. I think they are, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the gap's 8 points between sort of fourth place down to Penistone, who are on 61. So I think more or less they're pretty much there. I think the couple of games to go. I think
they are, Joe, because Albion Sports have played all the games, so I think they're guaranteed to be in the playoffs.
Oh, right.
The 2 points behind Rossington, so I think they're guaranteed to be in the playoff.
They're guaranteed fourth anyway. So at the moment it's just a case of whether they're going to have an away tie or a home tie coming into this round.
They've had an absolutely brilliant season of Rossington, haven't they?
Yeah,
superb. So Division 1. So on paper, as we always say, it's on paper it's easy, but there look some easy ties for Parkgate, Shirebrook, and Horbury. However, tired bodies put a spanner in the works, don't we, as we just said. So Parkgate have got Yorkshire Amateurs, and the Yorkshire Amateurs will be fighting for their lives, won't they?
Oh yeah,
they should win. Parkgate, they should win. But it's not going to be easy. But you mentioned Shirebrook. I mean, Arthur have already they've sealed safety after being sworn last Saturday, which is you've got to give James a lot of credit, given that when he entered the club they were basically dire straits, and he's put a team together and they've put on a great run. So for them, this is a bit of a free hit really for Armthorpe. So this could be an interesting game on Saturday.
It could be anything in that game. Yeah. But Armthorpe's done really well, because I mean they were like one of the dead bottom and losing, shipping goals for fun. And like you say, he's come in and he's got his team sorted. And to do that in a season, well, you need a pat on the back there, because it's really difficult. So well done there. Swallow Nest play Horbury. So Swallow Nest, I think, are already down. So Horbury again. I mean, they're probably playing for pride, Swallow Nest.
Yeah, I think they are. I think Swallow Nest have had a difficult season. I think they've been teetering on sort of relegation, trying to stay in the league for a couple of seasons now. So I think at the moment for them, it's just a case of, if they do go down, then the question is where they go. I think they'll go into Chef Hallam League, if I'm honest. But it's just one of those. Horbury they've really got much to play for. They're 9 points off playoffs. I don't think they're going to do it. But I say you never know. They could have a strong end to the season.
Exactly. There's a bit of pride there. But the big game for me is at Cannon Park, Retford United and Beverley Town. That'll be a humdinger, that one.
Massive. It's a massive game, because Retford United could still effectively, I mean, look at them. They're on 89 points again. Great season. They could still they can go second if results go their way. If they beat Beverley, they could only be a point off the title, which is absolutely incredible.
It is, isn't it?
considering the amount of, I think the top of the table must have changed a handful of times,
Yeah.
and given that, people, I remember talking to groundsmen, they're like, well, we'd be happy just to finish fourth or fifth, but now if they win on Saturday, they could be second place. So
Exactly.
I don't think there's a league, certainly at step six, that's as close as what we've seen at Northern Counties this season. I think it's just fantastic.
He's been really good, and I mean, I've actually seen quite a few games in that league, with Beverley, because obviously Beverley's quite close to me, so I'll go watch Beverley. And with so many players that I've known and have used to play for Barton, it's good to go watch them. But they've got a few injuries, at Beverley. It would be interesting to see who's back on Saturday, because I know Nathan Hottie was out, James Pearcey was out, Alex Naggs was out. So the two central defenders, and Alex is a utility man at the back. Hopefully they're back in playing, but they beat Parkgate with those lads missing. So it just shows you. So Woolwell play Harrogate. Now that looks a good game as well, doesn't it? Woolwell have had a reasonably good season, their first season, haven't they? Woolwell Town, and Harrogate, they're a young team, Harrogate, because I remember them playing Beverley early on in the season. They beat Beverley at Beverley 3-2 or 4-3. It was a real good game. And Brig play Glasshoughton. Oh, the Glasshoughton are still not safe, are they? Or are they?
No. The third from bottom, aren't they? Is it three go down, and so the 6 points from Yorkshire Amateurs. So with 3 games to go.
Yeah, so they need it, don't they? Need the points there, so that'll be.
Yeah, and that'll be tough to go to Brig. Tough.
Yeah, it's a tough place. It's a tough place to go. It's like the Lincolnshire equivalent of Gould.
But at the end of the day, I suppose they reorganise the league. You're not 100% sure how many will go down. Really,
you don't know. You don't know who's going down, who's moving sideways, who's coming in, who's moving out sideways. It's you can. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in charge of a team. It'll give you kittens, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So then midweek games. Again, we've got an absolutely bag of games, haven't we? Monday we've got Golker and Nares. Knaresborough play twice, don't they? They got Monday and Wednesday they're playing, by the looks of it. So they're playing Penistone away on Wednesday, and they're playing Golker away on Monday. So they'll get the mileage in, won't they?
Certainly will.
Tuesday, if it doesn't rain, Barton Town are playing Handsworth, and Ecclesdale have got Garforth. I know. Hallam are playing Maltby Tuesday, so there's some good time. Division 1, Claycross and Beverley. Ooh, tough place to go, Claycross, isn't it?
That's if the game's on.
That's if it's on. Joe, you've been to Claycross a few times. I'm sure you have, haven't you?
Yeah, so I saw them when they were in Central Mids, and the ground wasn't too bad when I went to it. But
yeah,
again, it's changed since I've been there. But you like to hope if it. I don't think they've had a home game there for. Oh God, it must have been start of season. Must have been when they had it. But it's been a bit of a It's an interesting topic, Claycross, I think, for me.
Yeah. Will they play at Shirebrook, do you think? Will they play the game at Shirebrook?
They could do. I mean, again, Shirebrook aren't playing Tuesday, so it's just a case of we'll see. But
it's a big old pitch. It's a big old pitch at Shirebrook, isn't it?
No, it's massive. Yeah, it's a good ground. I say it's
very good ground.
Yeah. Well, I say one piece of trivia I always got told was the seats in the stand were from Filbert Street.
Right.
So I got told about that when I first went there.
All right. Well, I've sat in those seats when Barton played them in the Cup 3-3 game. It was very foggy. So that was So we've got Woolwell playing Worsborough as well. So Ollerton play Parkgate at Parkgate. So Parkgate are packing the games in still. Then Thursday, well, we've got the big one, haven't we, Bob?
We certainly have.
Barton Town versus Gull for the 100th time of asking.
Yeah. But you as volunteers, you must really get a bit fed up because you're planning to play and then your match is off. I mean, you get your programs done, and I think I've said this before. You get your food, you get your beer, and then it's off. It's very disheartening. It must be very disheartening.
Well, one thing for me, Bob, and I think sometimes people don't realise that, is on an away game like yesterday, Wednesday, we didn't get to know until about 3:45 the game was off. Well, I'd already booked to leave early from work, so I'd left early, and it was all a waste of time. So I've wasted a couple of hours holiday for nothing. I know it's only a couple of hours, but you just think, wow, if they could have just made that a little bit earlier, maybe at dinner time. But it's volunteers. You've got a local ref who's having to come and assess the pitch, and maybe the only referee they could get is somebody who's working. So again, it's difficult on volunteers, isn't it? But again, Barton Town and goal. Well, I'm afraid it's just for bragging rights and pride, isn't it?
Certainly is, yeah. But I'm sure. I'm sure
we'll have a good time. It should be. Well, look after you, Bob. I'll make you a cup of tea.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. We'll look after you at half time, and you'll be able to hear my dulcet tones on the microphone, getting everything wrong, mispronouncing everything, and missing the goals. So you can't get any worse than that. So also on Thursday we've got Harrogate against Parkgate. So again, Parkgate having to play, and Ollerton versus Brigg. There's some games there. So that just about wraps it up, doesn't it?
I was just looking to see when the last match, with all this weather being about, when is the last match we played in the both divisions? And the last match is Claycroft versus Wombwell on the 6th of May. But if Wombwell get into the playoffs, sure they're going to bring that forward, I would have thought.
Yeah, they'll have to, because what they've done with Barton Town is they've altered the Penistone game. They've brought that forward. They swapped it with Silsden. So Silsden, it would have been a Saturday. I think it's the 20th. It would have been, Barton would have been playing Silsden. Now we're playing Penistone, simply because Penistone's still involved, possibly in the playoffs or going into the playoffs. And poor old Silsden have to come on a Tuesday night, which is a hell of a journey. A hell of a journey. It's really bad. But I'll tell you one thing. I just wanted to put in, is slightly off kilter. But what is your favourite kit this season?
Favourite kit?
Who you've played against, or is it Goul's kits? Or because we was talking about this earlier on, Goul getting a kit. What's your favourite kit, just to finish off?
My favourite kit. Well, I don't know about playing alley, but Norwich City. I always like Norwich City because the Canaries. I like their kit.
So you like theirs. So what about in the NCEL, Bob? Because you got a good choice in Norwich.
No, the Penistone kit was good because it reminded me of Newcastle United. That was a nice kit. Was Penistone?
It is a nice strip. That's a Macron shirt. What about you, Joe? What's your favourite?
I have to say, one of the things I said in one of my videos was when
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, one of my favourite kits was Barton's away kit this season. It's one of the nicest ones I've seen.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of fans now, mate, for saying that.
Well, it's in the video, so people can see it. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. So you've got a lot of fans. You've got a lot of fans in Barton Town, Joe. So you'll be able to come and have a free pint.
Oh, thank you.
It's a good kit. So what we'll do, we'll wrap that up, and we'll see everybody back hopefully next week, all fit and healthy. Enjoy your football, and we'll see you next week.
That's it for this edition. If you've got any news for the podcast or you'd like to appear on the podcast, please email ncelpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.